Welcome to another edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. There's two of us. Wes, we lonely tonight. People have life and shit getting in the way, but we'll make do. Shitty, half-assed UFC card, so you get a shitty, half-assed MMA Analysis podcast. That's just the way it goes. How are you doing? Did you miss MMA with all your heart and soul for the 1 week that it was gone?
No, I actually kind of enjoyed it. And most weeks it's not like MMA free; it's UFC free. But this week we had a bunch of like afternoon shit Saturday, which I kind of pay attention to a little in and out because so much other shit's going on. But no, there was some just amazing boxing Saturday night, and I love when I can concentrate on that and not have fight MMA going on at the same time because good like great boxing is probably still. I don't want to say it's over MMA for me, but man, it's still my first love as far as fighting goes. So Saturday night was awesome.
Yeah, what was the co-main event of that Nonito card? I forget what the two guys' names were, but that fight was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I can't remember their names now too, but it was one of the fights of the year so far. Yeah. Like it was absolutely insane. And then watching Nonito win another world title was just it was awesome. Great night of boxing for sure.
Yep. Definitely. It was a good week for the UFC. It's weird though, because normally Memorial Day used to be like a big UFC card. I remember, it was many years ago at this point, but they did that like all heavyweight card 1 year on Memorial Day where it was like, that was the one where Kane just absolutely bloodbath Bigfoot and JDS destroyed Mir in the co-main events and just like a whole bunch of good shit. And now they take Memorial Day off, and then the week after Memorial Day is a lot of heavyweights, but a lot of shitty heavyweights. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, did you manage to get up to anything in the week off other than watching some boxing?
No, a couple weeks ago got to. We did have fights. There was a Rob Fine card. So that week, got to go hang out with Lance and our boy Andrew, and had a really good time doing that. And no, I'm just I'm over here trying to prepare for this fucking kid to come, man. So I got a lot of work to do in the next 6 weeks. So that's keeping me going.
Feels like one of those things that like it needs to get closer to the day of before you really kick your ass into gear.
I've because I missed so much time early, and because we found out a little kind of later on into it. And, man, I have just I think it's almost like I don't want to believe it, so I'm just like I wasn't dealing with any of it. But when it hit like 2 months left, it was kind of the wife's like, you know what, you got a lot of shit to be doing. I'm like, I guess so. So
yeah, and that's the point where she can just be like, no, you got to do it. I'm growing. I'm growing the shit inside of me.
It's over now. Like it's no. I mean, she still does. A lot of the cleaning the housework and shit. She's up on her feet. She looks like she's active and was exercising every day still until a few weeks ago, until her fucking ankle started swelling up. But she can't help with none of that shit, man. I got been getting the nursery together and shit. I got furniture to build, like a whole room full of furniture to build. It's not great, man.
It's a whirlwind for Wesley right now. For me, Memorial Day, not a Canadian holiday, but I love me some
title game.
I love me some Memorial Day because that's the lacrosse Final Four. Pretty damn good for those of you who didn't watch, which is all of you, one of the best title games in recent memory. And then for the lacrosse fans out there, again, nobody listening to this right now, the Premier Lacrosse League starts this weekend. So, man, it's a good time to be a lacrosse fan. And I'm probably going to be watching those games instead of most of these fights that are happening. But before we get into these ones, you mentioned Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt 2 weeks ago. Anything you want to say about that fight? I don't really think we'll talk about the rest of the card because I don't even have it pulled up in front of me right now. And there wasn't a whole lot great on there other than that main event.
Yeah, well, I mean, for one thing, I started drinking at like 2 o'clock that day, and I swear by like 9:30, I could have swore it was like 2:30 in the morning, and it was like 9:30 at night. But yeah, I don't think there was much on there. I know Hermanson, what he did though, Edmund, that kid's got to get somewhere and get to a good gym and just learn how to defend takedowns and shit. But as far as Font and Garbrandt, man, Font looked great. Like, he looked absolutely great. I will say Cody, though, man, his chin held up better than I could have ever imagined that his chin would have held up. So I don't think it's like Cody's completely washed. He just needs to be a little more active. I think he's at a really good camp and shit now. So I don't think it's the end for Cody or anything. I think he can still be a tough guy. I just think Rob Font is really, really fucking good, man. That camp up in Boston now has got some really good guys that they're all training with and shit. And Rob Font's a problem, man. I think our boy Dan Tom did a little article that week after the fight, like last week, about jabs and MMA, and I would encourage everyone to go check that out because it's still to this day, it doesn't matter if it's boxing or if it's MMA, it's still one of the most underrated strikes in fighting. And if you do it right, if you can circle off and use it right, it's still just a fantastic weapon in any kind of fighting, any kind of combat sport. And Rob Font does it very, very well. And it could have him dictate a lot of fights that he's in, man. And he's a title contender at this point. Absolutely.
For sure. And speaking of Dan Tom, we were going to try and get him on for the podcast this week because obviously Lance and Sean are out of commission. But, thoughts out to my man. I know he had a little incident with his doggos at home. So I hope everything's going well with him. And we'll get him on here at some point so you guys can hear somebody that actually knows how to break down fights instead of us assholes who just spout a whole bunch of shit. In terms of the Font Garbrandt fight, very good performance from Font. That's one of those ones where there is a lot of people that are just like, oh, it's Cody Garbrandt. Font is minus 120 money line and his TKO prop. I'm going to get greedy and take that at like plus 130, plus 140. And those are the ones where there's just not quite enough there to warrant that kind of play. And there's probably a lot of people out there that got burnt on that one because I didn't expect it to go the distance. Based on the shots that were getting landed in there, I didn't think it was going to go to the distance while it was happening until you got to about like the fourth round. And man, I don't know what it is from Cody that made him actually survive that stuff. Maybe it was being more passive and being able to see shots coming a little bit better or something like that. But that's not the dude that ran through the bantamweight division. He sort of needs to figure out who he is and who he wants to be as a fighter if he wants to stay at that elite level. Because we know he's got the skills. He even flashed the wrestling a little bit early in that fight. The start of round 5, he came out and still had, people were talking about his cardio and he's tired, all this sort of shit. But start of round 5, he came out in the first 2 minutes of that round. He was fucking on fire. Yep. So everything's still there. It's just a matter of putting it together in a way that works for him. Aside from that, there's not really much that I can remember from that card. Munich, Court McGee.
Nice.
Coming through. And I'm sure there was some decent stuff. Oh, Ben Rothwell is just like his fat dude joke.
Yeah, I was. I should have listened on court. Like I really should. I knew what was going to happen there, and I still wouldn't listen. Now, the Rothwell fatties just absolutely hurt. Hurt me. God, it hurt so bad. It was going so perfect, man, and it still ain't lost by, what was it, like 10 seconds or something like that? 7 or 8 seconds?
10, 15 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, and it was going so perfect, man. I think we got the other.
We got the other one. Vandera.
Yeah, that's
that one went to decision. That was no sweat at all. So fatties is still real, and there's some chances on this card. I'll tell you, we might get into some fatties later on. So let's hop into the Rozenstruik and Sad Belly Sakai card here. Rozenstruik is a adopted Jew. He is a member of the Persecution Fight Team, which is all of our Jewish-sounding brothers and sisters who aren't actually Jewish. So good for him, but also not good for him because this dude is boring as fuck until sometimes he isn't, and sometimes he is. So we'll get to that. But kicking it off, lightweight division. Honestly, I have no recollection of this Claudio Puelles dude. It looks like he is from Peru, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Peru.
There you go. I recognize that flag. I've got a Peru soccer jersey. Paulo Guerrero. And he's taking on Jordan. Take it or leave it. What do you got here, Wes? Anything?
Yeah, not much, man. I'm with you on Puelles here. I can't necessarily remembering too much. I know he did lose to Martin Bravo at one point, so that is not good at all. I do like Jordan Leavitt though, man. I don't. The guy seems so unassuming and stuff as a fighter, but I think he's got some skills, man. I think he's way better on the mat here if this does get to the mat, which I think he's probably going to try to get it there at some point. I haven't seen it enough of him. I mean, he's beaten the likes of Matt Wyman and shit, like awesome KO and everything, but he had a nice choke on the Contender Series. So I think he's got some skills. Just at 2-1 here. I don't know what his sub price is here, but if I'm feeling kind of frisky, maybe throw something on Leavitt by sub. I think that could be his path in this fight, but I'll definitely be picking him to win the fight for sure. Maybe a bet on him by sub.
Yeah, it looks like the best available on sub right now is plus 175. So nothing great there. And oh man, I don't think long term that Leavitt is going to be very good. I don't see the wrestling there. He definitely not a imposing physical threat. No. And any striking that I've seen from him in stuff that I've seen back in was he one of the guys that came up through LFA? One of the regional shows. Did not look good at all. So it seems like he's got good cardio and he's willing to continue to pursue takedowns. And once he gets guys on the ground, he's got a slick submission game. So I think that can definitely come through here because Puelles doesn't look like he's good. The guys that he's fought are not good. He's on a 2-fight winning streak and he's young. So maybe he's improved in the last 2 years or however long it's been since we've seen him in the UFC. But he would have to improve a lot to be able to grapple with a guy like Leavitt. So I just don't think he's going to be there. But a lot of unknowns here, and I don't trust Leavitt. For me, this is just going to be an opportunity to water that seeds that I threw in there after that Wyman KO, and we'll just have to wait for another time for that baby to sprout. Next up in the featherweight division, we have Sean the Sniper Woodson, which is he like is it a sniper rifle that has rubber bullets in it or something? Because this dude has zero power. Very tall, very goofy looking. Definitely would be one of Sean's guys if Sean was on the podcast. He loves those tall, goofy motherfuckers. And he's taking on Youssef Zalal, that dude was a COVID darling. And then that sort of came crashing down, but maybe we get a little opportunity on the bounce back here, because Woodson, dude who got overwhelmed by Julian Rosa, is still a -170 favorite against like a very grindy Zalal. What you got here?
Yeah, I kind of agree with a lot of that, and I'm not sure Woodson is anywhere near as good as the last two guys that Zalal lost sort of close fights to. So definitely not to Cora. That dude's legit. You know, Zalal lost that fight, but it was competitive in points on the feet. And I don't know. I don't get this line. I'm going to be on a few spots on this card, kind of not big, small plays on guys that I just think the line is wrong on fights that are fairly close, but I can see a path for a dude. And Zalal's one of them here, man. I just think he's better everywhere than Woodson here. And yeah, like you said, he's grindy. He can get this to the cage and work, and he can work it at distance on Woodson. I think he's the better striker. Woodson's lanky and skinny and got a little, tall guy in the lower weight division kind of thing going on here. And I think Zalal can piece him up, man. So at a dog price here, I'm going to take a little shot.
Yeah, and this is one of those ones where Woodson's tall, and people want to point to that. Oh, he's tall. He's got a long reach. He must be huge. This dude looks like a weakling. Like, he looks like you could pick him up and snap him in two. I don't know if Lance ever shook this dude's hand, but if he did, dude probably had to wear a cast for 6 weeks after it. Yeah, I don't get the impression that anything he does in the cage prevents somebody from getting to where they want to get. Even if he's landing strikes on you, it doesn't look like he has a ton on his strikes. I mean, he hit Julian Rosa with a shitload of punches and didn't even come close to putting him away in that fight, and then eventually got overwhelmed. So I think that Zalal has struggled with the last two guys that he's faced, Tybura and Choi, were the big guys as well for the division, but big in a way that they're actually physical. Whereas Woodson's not going to have that sort of game. So I can see Zalal getting inside on him. He's going to eat some jabs and stuff on the way in. But once he gets inside, I think he's really going to have some good control in the clinch, probably get some takedowns. And I see this going to a decision. I do have a bet on Zalal at +160. And yeah, I just not sold on Woodson at all. I can't remember. I was definitely considering betting Rosa against him, but it's Julian Rosa, so I can't remember if I pulled the trigger or not. I feel like if I did, I would have remembered because he was +400 or something in that spot. But man, it's not a guy you want to be trusting with your money. Speaking of not trusting people with your money, flyweight division, Manon Fiorot taking on Tabitha Ricci. I mean, low-key banger, right?
Yeah. Is that what we're calling this? I can't remember this other chick's fight. It says she got a knockout. like head kick and punches. So it's still kind of worrisome that I can't remember a fight like that.
I'm pulling up the card right now. I'm trying to think. It is Chiesa Magni. Oh, it was the very first fight on the card, so it's very possible that I did not watch it at all.
I watched it, but
so hold on. I opened the event page. I scrolled down to this victory, and it's a KO TKO, head kick and punches, and then in brackets, standing TKO. So she landed a head kick, landed a bunch of punches, still couldn't even put her on the ground, and got a TKO out of it. That's
so
power.
Yeah, so it was like
right there.
If there was anything, maybe like look at this seems like one of those Trey, stop that shit. Yeah, so I was thinking like if there was any way to look at an angle on having any kind of money on this fight, it was maybe looking at it seems like both of these chicks have a lot of finishes, so they do dumb shit and either finish or get finished. Maybe look at the fight doesn't go to decision, but after seeing that she got her big knockout in her UFC debut by head kicking a chick, punching her multiple times, and the ref just got in there and probably just stopped it. I'm gonna pass. We'll pass on this fight.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, especially considering the fight doesn't go is minus 195.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we'll pass.
All I know from Ricci, I've seen her a couple times on LFA. She's actually like got good judo, which is like probably the best base for women to come into MMA with.
Yeah.
Because none of them can keep their range. Like they don't have enough power on their punches generally to be able to stop an opponent from getting into the clinch. And then the fighters that have good judo end up getting a lot of easy takedowns. The only problem,
the easiest takedowns.
Yeah, gotta love those head and arms. The problem with Ricci is that she is small. I think she's a 115er and little for that division. She's like 5'1" or something. So maybe means it'll be easier for her to head and arm throw a bigger chick. But yeah, I'm not. No, maybe I'll bet this goes to decision since I can get plus money on that.
Yeah. Yep.
That used to be the thing before they caught on and made the overs like minus 300 for pretty much every women's fight.
Or Sean, he got like the one dude that would just steal people's gimmick on Twitter. He started posting all the chick over numbers after Sean had been hammering them for years. And yeah, that was Sean's whole thing, man, and they stole it from him.
Yep. He used to just like parlay them all together on a card and just sit back and when it goes long and it sucks, it's even better for you. All right, moving on to something that hopefully doesn't go long and suck, but it's an Alan Patrick fight, so it very well could. He's taking on Mason Jones in the lightweight division. What you got?
Yeah, this is another tough fight for me. I just do we know how good Mason Jones is? I don't think so, man. He was beating up on just even kind of cage warrior level scrubs, and they got some decent fighters over. I'm not sure he was even fighting the best over there, and got a bunch of hype, came over and lost to Mike Davis, and I'm not sure Mike Davis is that good either. I'm not saying Alan Patrick is great, man, but we've seen this guy's fights. He's fought very good competition in the UFC for years, and he's a boring but a tough out every single time. And I think that's what's going to happen here. This is going to be like 15 minutes, a really close fight. You're going to be worried a little bit about the judges in this fight, I think. But, man, at a price that they're laying on Jones here, that's just a little crazy to me, man. So it's another one of those fights where I think it's going to be close. One guy's getting like plus 240. I've seen Patrick. I know he's tough. He's going to be a tough, boring out here, and I'm going to hope I get a couple rounds from the judges. So I'll take a little there, and I think you're going to talk about another angle here that's wild as well. That I'll probably just be laying some straight juice on because it's going to happen.
Oh yeah. The angle that Wes is saying that I'm going to talk about is there's so the over 2.5 is, or the total is a 2.5 for this fight, basically even money, which I get because I could see Jones definitely taking this fight over late if Patrick gasses. Although after seeing his last fight against Bobby Green, man, I thought that Bobby Green was going to make him gas in that fight. And then Bobby Green was wrestling early on in that one, which I thought would help that out. And Patrick just like never went away, which is unusual for him, especially coming off of a 2-year layoff or whatever he was coming off in that fight. So that I get. I get it being around even money, but the over 1.5 is only minus 165 in this fight. And regardless of how it plays out, if Patrick gets takedowns and tries to snuggle his way to a decision, or if he gets takedowns early and then Mason Jones can start to like battle back and get up and put a pace on him, regardless, Mason Jones is not going to get him out of there in the first 7.5 minutes of this fight. And I don't think Patrick's going to be submitting him in the first 7.5 minutes of this fight either. So that over 1.5, I think that is way, way, way too low. It actually came down from minus 225 to just earlier today, came down to minus 165. So
what?
Yeah. I don't know. I love it. That's for me is the type of thing that I'm probably just going to play straight. Normally I'll throw it in some wacky parlays too, but normally that'd be the type of thing I would parlay. But in this case, I just think that's something that's going to happen regardless of who wins this fight. But as far as the fight goes, I think Wes is right. When you look at Alan Patrick, boring. He'll throw some spinning shit and try and look like he's exciting out there. But when he's having success in a fight, he's being boring. The McDessie fight that he won, terrible decision, but he held him there for a lot of the fight. He's previously fought three other guys from the Commonwealth. He fought Damian Brown, Australian, took him down like 5 times. He fought Stevie Ray, took that dude down like 1,000,000 times. And he fought John McDessie, and he took him down. And he beat all those guys. And now he's fighting Mason Jones. And Mason Jones is from Wales, who, of all the Brits, of all the Commonwealth, they seem to be the best wrestlers. Doesn't mean they're good wrestlers. So I could see Patrick getting some takedowns early, and then maybe Jones can just keep getting back up and put a pace on him, like I said, and get a finish in late round 2 into round 3, something like that. But, man, I am not confident enough in it to be laying almost minus 300 on him. And especially, Mike Davis, who didn't come out there trying to wrestle him. He even got like 3 or 4 takedowns against Jones. So if Patrick comes out and wrestles, I think this could be a sobering performance for Jones, because I don't think people are really down on him after that Davis performance. We are wondering the same thing ourselves, Andrew. They're off doing adult shit. I think Sean, the teenager's finally moving out of his mom's basement and bought himself a real boy house. And I think Lance is pretending to work or something. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, I like that 1.5 here. That's going to be my bet on this one because I think regardless of who wins, it definitely plays out over a bit of distance. All right, in the welterweight division, we got our boy, the original George Jefferson, Grandpa Trinaldo himself, taking on some fucking Russian who doesn't even know how to wrestle.
Yeah. Man, it's Grandpa Trinaldo, dude. But how many times over the past, like, what is it, 8 years or something now, have we gotten Grandpa Trinaldo at like plus 200? Like, he's like plus 200. Always plus 200. Plus 200. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a card full of this shit for me, man. This is another one where I think we could just see some 15 minutes of not, too much happening. Hopefully, Grandpa can get a couple takedowns here. I do think this is kind of a tough fight for him. The price isn't wild or anything. Like, this is probably about what he should be here. Like, Salikhov isn't horrible, but man, Grandpa Trinaldo at 2-1 against any of these fucking Russians or whoever the hell they end up matching him up with, and everybody's thinking he's done because he's like, I mean, he's 42 Brazilian, so probably close to like 49. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little shot on the dog here, man. Not much of a breakdown for me. This is kind of more of a bet I always make on a dude that's made me a ton of money over the years, and I just think this is definitely going to be another close fight that probably gets to the judges. And at plus 200, I'll take another small shot that I can get a couple cards my way.
Yeah, not a ton to add here. The Salikhov Russian spinny shit dude. He just throws spinning things, and sometimes it works for him and he gets a decision. But he's always generally faced guys that are willing to just do that with him and aren't particularly dangerous as a striker. Like your Ricky Rainey's and Nordine Taleb's of the world. Not anybody's really going to be intimidated by those guys. The one time he faced somebody who was actually willing to grapple with him was Alex Garcia, who is a noted gasser. That dude needs to fill up every 5 or 10 minutes because the tank is low, and even that guy was able to take him down in the second round and submit him. So I know it was a few years ago, but it's not like he's a young guy either. He says he's 36. I'm not sure if that's actually the case. He's about to turn 37. So, Trinaldo's old. We know he's been old forever. People have been trying to fade him forever. We've kind of been sticking with him through all of that, and he's only lost to pretty good guys. Like the Alex Hernandez loss doesn't look great at this point, but that was just an atrocious fight from both guys. And then it's like Kevin Lee, he's lost to. Chiesa, he's lost to. There's not a lot of bad losses on his record. The Vic one is sad because that would have been an absolute great KO if Vic got slept by Grandpa. But I think that he's got enough tools in this one that if it's a striking battle, he's going to be competitive. And if this turns into any sort of grappling match, he's got a huge advantage on Salikhov. And Salikhov has never really shown that he wants to learn how to wrestle. So if Trinaldo comes out with that game plan, I think he's got a good shot. So I will take the old man. I think I grabbed some plus 215 earlier in the week. It's still plus 205, plus 210 in a couple places. So you can still get some good money on Trinaldo. And that is exactly where I will be parking some of my change this weekend. All right, we are moving up to the heavyweight division. Whew, can't wait for Tanner the Hoser Boser taking on Ilir Latifi. And man, I like Ilir Latifi at 205 because he has to get in shape. He looks like a super juiced up Putin just riding around on his horse. Not such a fan of him at 265, but the man's old. He doesn't want to cut weight. He doesn't want to be in shape anymore. And in heavyweight MMA, there's a lot of dudes that can get away with that. Is Latifi one of them?
I don't know. I mean, he's going to get the easiest matchup that he's had. I mean, he just, had to fight one of the biggest, heaviest fucking dudes in the entire division last time out. This ain't that. Like Tanner Boser's a guy that can make 205. He's the same way. He doesn't want to cut weight and shit. Yeah, I mean this one's tough for me though. I could, I don't think much of Boser. I know he got a little hype. He got a big knockout and got a little bit of hype. Kind of came back down to earth against, a guy that makes everybody kind of, you know what I'm saying, get hypnotized and you used to. That ain't gonna be this type of fight, but man, I don't know. It's another one that I think is gonna be close. I think we see this one going long too, man. I don't really see any finishes here. I think it might get to the cards. Just another spot where I think a dude's just a little bit overpriced. I wish I was getting 2-1 on Latifi because I would definitely play him. Plus 160, I just don't know, man. I'm gonna pick him in the Tout Master, but I kind of like it a little bit high to make a bet on him here, but maybe him by decision to kind of get just crazy and get a decent line. I think that's kind of big.
It's like plus 400 almost, yeah.
Yeah, so Latifi by decision because I can really see this going. I think the over 2.5 is even juiced in this fight. So,
yep.
Yeah, Latifi by decision at a big number. It might be a sprinkle for me.
Yeah, the odds makers have kind of taken all the fun out of this one for me. Your over 1.5 is minus 245. Over 2.5 minus 140. Fight goes is basically even money. So nothing that I love there. That Latifi decision prop plus 365, plus 375. So that's the most enticing thing to me on the card. But yeah, I wish there was something that I could find to bet on here that I really like. But I kind of think that Boser's just going to throw shitty leg kicks. So Boser trains with KB Bular, who landed they claim he landed 100 and something significant strikes in his last fight, where he didn't even throw anything with the intentions of hurting his opponent, because stats in MMA are stupid. So I could see Boser doing a lot of the same shit and just dancing around and poking at him with leg kicks and winning a terrible decision. I kind of hope that Latifi is able to get some takedowns or land some big shots on him. But I do not have high hopes for this fight. And the odds just make it so that it's not an appealing one to me, which is sad because I love shitty heavyweight fights. Kind of like a shitty heavyweight fight, except they're half the size. We've got Montana De La Rosa taking on Ariane Lipski. Another fantastic women's flyweight bout. Wes, break it down for the folks.
That's probably not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I think De La Rosa probably wins this fight. She'll probably get a decision at some point, or get a submission at some point. But
I was gonna say if she gets a decision, it'll probably be
yeah.
after 15 minutes.
Yeah, this is just something that I'm staying away from completely.
Yeah, this seems like a good time to probably take Turk out for a walk. Lipski is in the Instagram model division of the UFC's women's classes, and De La Rosa is like she's only ever beaten bad fighters, and Lipski's kind of a bad fighter. I don't care. Maybe like the sub prop is plus 300. It's probably the most appealing thing in this fight. But I don't really want to trust Montana De La Rosa to get a stoppage. So, yeah, I'll take care of whatever I need to around the house or get Turk out for a walk on that one. Coming back, though, the headliner of the prelims, featherweight division, we have Mr. Finland, always a jovial man hanging out with some Scandinavian models or some shit. Taking on short notice replacement, because I think originally he was supposed to fight Nate Landwehr. And as we've discussed previously, it lands on his chin. That's where. And in for him is Kemwela Kirk, who is a Hawaiian dude. A Jawaiian, according to his nickname. I don't know what that means.
I have no clue.
Is he like a Jewish Hawaiian? Because
that's what I was thinking. If
I could get behind that.
I didn't want to go there personally. I was gonna let you touch on it.
But yeah, he's been on the regional circuit for a while. I've seen him a few times on LFA. Not bad. Not bad. Not great. This should be an interesting fight.
Yeah. I've seen some of his LFA fights. He's got a couple okay wins. His last two. Got a couple losses too before that. I know he was stopped by Billy Q, which isn't, I guess, a horrible loss. I still think Billy Q's decent fighter. But I mean, I think Mike Wand is maybe he was like overrated. I think he's getting to the point now where he might be slightly underrated. If you look at the guys he's lost to, man, they're literally three of the best dudes in the division at this point.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he went 15 with Edson last time out. Like, Edson won that fight. That was a really big bet for me. But, man, he stayed in it. And I don't think that Kirk is anywhere close to that. And, even besides the competition that he's fought, Mike Wand's he's a well-rounded fighter. He's not bad, man. He's good on the mat. His striking is not terrible. So he's a little juicy here, man. I kind of want to just maybe find a parlay partner for him. I do kind of lean more to that. I think there's probably going to be a finish in this fight, though. And I know Mike Wand doesn't get a ton of them. But I mean, Kirk, it seems like he's coming in on a little short notice here, I believe, and I think he's going to go for it, man. He's got finishes. He's been finished, and I kind of see Mike Wand getting a finish here. I think it's kind of high paced early, and Mike Wand ends up getting this into a scramble and catches a sub here. So I don't see a line out there yet, a fight inside the distance. But I'm gonna probably look at that, and I might take a little of Mike Wand inside the distance. I think that's a little bit of plus money at this point, but I like him in this fight to get back on track, man. I think he's a decent fighter, and he's got more pass here to win this fight.
Yeah, I was actually rather impressed with him in his last fight, even though Barbosa beat him up pretty good early on in that fight. He actually stuck around, and I'm pretty sure that the third round, or I'm not pretty sure, I'm I know the third round was actually his best round in that fight, which is a very good thing to see, because the third round used to be where he would just fall apart. And he's learned to sort of keep it together. He is a very effective wrestler, more than you think a guy coming out of Finland would be. And he seems to be able to know how to use the cage to actually get his wrestling going, which a lot of guys in MMA struggle with. So I can see Amirkhani getting early takedowns, maybe getting an early submission. And you referenced that loss to Billy Q that Kemwilla Kirk had, and he really faded in that fight. And he's sort of faded in some of his other losses as well. So I think that cardio might be more of an issue for him here than it is for Makwan. So I think that there's still the possibility that we could see a round 2 or round 3 sub from Amirkhani in this one. So I kind of like where you're going with that. And I feel like Kirk's good. He'll probably hang around in the UFC for quite a while, especially with the way the roster is now. But I feel like Makwan's kind of safe as a parlay piece in this spot. So, just looking at some quick numbers here, Amirkhani and that over 1.5. I know I said I was going to play it straight, but I can't resist me some plus money. So Amirkhani and that over 1.5 in Patrick and Jones pays plus 145. That seems like the type of thing that I'm probably going to bet. All right. Moving up to the main card, we have notable, very consistent, level-headed Tom Breese taking on Antonio Arroyo, who is a massive dude who lost to like an actual dwarf in his last fight. He did that. That
one hurt.
It was like me stepping in the cage with him, just taking his ass down the whole time.
Yeah. Darian Wynn is slightly better wrestler than you though, so that hurts, man. God, that still kills me. I can remember that. Look, Darian Wynn in that fight, I'll give it to him, man. He fought as smart a fight in his technical fight that he had ever fought in that fight. And man, he beat Arroyo. Now, Tom Breese ain't doing that. Tom Breese ain't taking him down and shit like that.
Tom Breese might do it for one round. All right, let's give the man credit. And then the first time that something goes wrong for him, all bets are off.
And I kind of leaned that happening. Yeah, you're right. Tom Breese just shows flashes, man. And he's got some of the worst losses and does things in spots that you could ever imagine, dude. I mean, just this last loss, you know what I'm saying? It's just go back to that. So, look, I don't think Arroyo is great or anything. I just think Breeze is that fucking dumb in fights, and he's probably gonna find a way to lose this fight. And another spot where a dude is plus 200 here, so I'm probably gonna take a little shot on Arroyo. It's not my favorite bet. None of these are favorite bets for me on this card. I think it's a lot of funny shit could happen, but just this line against Tom Breese, man, is something I got to take. And a guy that I think is okay. He's not great or anything, but he'll stay in the fight, and Breese will make a mistake. I think Arroyo catches him with something. I'll just take the straight plus money, plus 200.
Yeah, it's this one's interesting because Arroyo got taken down. I just looked it up. I know I said earlier that stats mean nothing. Striking stats mean nothing. The grappling stats are actual things that happen in a fight. It's not just them saying, "Oh, This dude's toe made contact with this dude's leg hair, so that's a strike. But he got taken down 12 times against Darren Wynn. That's a lot of times to get taken down in a fight, and part of it means that you're getting back up, which is a good thing. His fight before that, he fought against Andre Muniz, who everyone is going to tell you is the greatest jiu-jitsuer to ever jiu-jitsu. Now that he broke one of Jacare's brittle little old man arms, and he was on his back for decent chunks of that fight and wasn't really in danger of getting submitted. So I don't think that Tom Breese is going to submit him in this fight. I don't think Tom Breese has ever actually even gotten a takedown in the UFC, or gone for a takedown in the UFC for that matter. So I don't think that's a concern. And if Breese just lets this guy hang around, he throws good kicks to the body. Like, he's a decent striker. And eventually, I think he's going to find something and land something on Breese that Breese doesn't like. And it's a rough thing to pile on, because the dude obviously has some issues that he's worked through. And it was great to see him come back and get that win over the shitty Canadian when he jabbed him and the dude looked like his face exploded. But I don't think that, as skilled as he is, Breese is cut out to fight at this level. It's not something that he can put himself through on a regular basis and find success. So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I might end up just playing a little bit of Arroyo straight, plus 200 out there, plus 215 at Bet Online. Both of those seem like things that could very well happen. And even if it's not him actually getting a knockout or Breese quitting or anything like that, I think Breese might just shut down a little bit, especially when he gets in there with a guy who is just as big as him. Because I think a lot of his confidence comes from looking and feeling like the bigger guy. And when he's not, I'm not entirely sure how he's going to react in there. Moving, not up, staying in the middleweight division, moving up the card, we've got Gregory Rodrigues. He's Brazilian. He's Hobocop. He is the cop that goes and he pokes the hobos. He tries to design that anti-homeless architecture. So not a fan of the Hobocop. And he's taken on my boy. It's the Serbian dream, Dusky Toads, baby. And last time out, he had hard times put on his family from Punahele, Soriano, baby. But this time, the Serbian dream's coming for the paycheck.
That was pretty good.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Pretty good.
Not my best, but I'll work on it for his next fight.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I just don't know what to think of Rodrigues here, man. Like, the dude's massive. I saw him knock out a bum not too long ago. So it kind of
Did you see him get knocked out by the insulin kid though?
Yeah, that's just not good, man, at all. Yeah, and I probably think that was a bad loss for old Toad last time, but I think that dude's a real fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just. I think we talked about it before that fight. Like, whoever wins this fight between these two dudes is probably going to move forward in the division and is going to have a good year. I think Soriano's a real dude, and like Rodrigues did fight. I believe it was like a month ago or something like that. So he's taking this fight on like really short notice. I think Toads is just he's a better fighter, man. Still young. He's going to improve from that last time out. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to play him, man. It's another one it's going to be a small bet. But I like Toads in this fight.
I'm with you. I still think he's pretty good. It took a shitload for Puna to get him out of there in that last fight. He ended up nailing him with clean shots for a lot of that round, and I think he dropped him like 3 or 4 times before he actually got him out of there. So I don't think that it's a chin issue. I think that he got clipped and could never quite recover because he got clipped a bunch more after that. But Hobocop, he apparently he's very good at jiu-jitsu, but you wouldn't know it from watching his MMA fights because he throws ugly punches, very like stiff. That head is he's a tall guy, and he's got the defense that tall guys have, where that head is just like on a pole and it's just waiting. And I mean, if the insulin kid can put you out, that's
he's robotic. Like he's
well,
very man.
That's where the nickname had to come from, right? Somebody watched him strike, and he's like, "Dude."
Yeah, that's what they call him. Yeah, it's more the movement in the stands, bro, not the destruction. You know.
Yeah, maybe he'll get like the gun installed in his thigh, like RoboCop, and that'll help him. Yeah,
he might need it.
Yep, that's what John Jones is looking for in his strategy, right? Did you see that video of him with the pregnant lady dummy from like 6 inches away?
I don't think I saw that one. Oh man, that's I know he's like wanting to be like a vigilante type.
Oh, he's going full militia man right now.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, there was this video where he was like 6 inches away from a target. And, you know, instead of if he was actually in this situation in the real world where he is one of the best fighters to ever exist and he just beat the shit out of the dude, he takes like half a step back and pulls out a gun and almost shoots his dick off, and instead shoots the target in the stomach a bunch of times.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I think that's what Jones is working on for his next fight. He's going to get a gun installed in his leg. He's just going to bust that out in the middle of the fight after he eye pokes a dude. Maybe he'll eye poke the ref so the ref can't see. Just go like full pro wrestling heel and just get what he can in there. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, I can't trust Hobocop at all. Like he looks awkward in there. He looks like he doesn't like getting hit. I'm not sure that he can wrestle. I know he's got good jiu-jitsu, but I think there's a reason that we never see it, and it's because he can't wrestle. So I wouldn't even be shocked if Dusky Toads, baby, can get some takedowns in here. And this line has been dropping like a rock. I didn't agree with it opening at like minus 250 or whatever silly number it opened at when the fight got announced. But man, it's down to minus 130 now. And I'm just going to end up playing him straight because I think he can either land something big and get Rodrigues out of there, or I think he can probably get some takedowns and get some control in this fight. And as the fight continues to go, I think it's going to sort of snowball in his direction. Because like you said, short notice, everything like that for the hobo. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be a particularly memorable performance from him. All right. Somebody who would like to forget their last performance, Santiago Ponzinibbio, the Ponzi boat, Ponzi scheme, taking on our boy, Miguel Caramel Macchiato Baeza.
Damn light keeps going out for some reason. Like another dark.
We've got the glow of your screen to keep your face illuminated.
Yeah, man, I fear that we might never see the old Ponzi back again, man.
Are you saying that the
the scheme might have fallen apart.
Yeah, I think he's going down like Bernie Madoff here, man.
That's right.
Yeah, he just, man, 3 years off and then to come back and just get obliterated. Like, that was a bad KO. That was just one that it looks like. And we had thought going into that fight, I think Sean even bet Jangalang in that fight.
Yep. I didn't.
And we talked about it, that even like the fights that he's won, man, he's been in some wars already, man, and he's got some miles on him, and it looks like it. And I think in this spot that he's fighting a legit kid, man. I think Baeza might be pretty damn good here, and had a really nice sub last time out. So we know he's well rounded. He can get it anywhere here. So, man, I just think more this is Ponzi's probably about done as a high level fighter. That was just ugly looking last time for me. So I'm gonna take the young kid here, man. He's around minus 120 or so still right now. I think this is a good spot for him and a good name fighter for him, and he's gonna get the job done, man. I think our boy, the old pontoon boat Ponzi scheme, is probably about done.
It's a rough one. We've got our two aspects to a fighter being washed, as we like to put it. The first one is that they don't throw anything. They can't pull the trigger anymore, which kind of looked a little bit like that in his last fight against the little Jangalang. He was definitely more passive than he had been in previous fights. The second thing is that they can't take a punch anymore, which kind of looked like that in his last fight as well against little Jangalang, because he was out hard. I think we might need to add fighters coming off of serious staph infections as like washed thing number 3. And that's what kept him out for so long. I think that of all the layoffs and all the stuff that can possibly happen, staph infections are probably one of the worst and one of the hardest for guys to come back from when they're serious. Like, you look at a dude like King Mo before and after his staph infection. You look at Randleman before and after his staph infection, and it's a rough go. If you've got something like that is serious enough that it puts your career in jeopardy, it's tough to trust you when you come back. So if this was the Ponzi of his prime, I think he could probably back Baeza up into the cage and feint out some of his counters and land some big shots of his own. I'm not sure that dude exists anymore. I don't think he has the confidence in himself, judging from his last performance, although maybe that was just ring rust. But I tend to lean more towards when it's a serious health thing that keeps you out for that long. It's not just ring rust. It's your body telling you, hey, we can't do this shit anymore. So I like Baeza here. We saw that even when he gets clipped, and man, did he get clipped bad by Brown in the first round of that fight, he's going to fight through it. And I think that he's going to be able to survive, even if he does get something put on him early in this one, and eventually get Ponzi out of there. So I got Baeza. Not super confident in it because I can see how a version of Ponzi could win this fight. But yeah, if it keeps moving in the direction and I can get a little plus symbol beside that number, I'll probably take the shot on the old caramel macchiato. All right, 3 left. I don't know why this is the third fight on the card, but Roman Doolittle is taking on Laureano Starboy.
The weekend?
Yeah.
Is that a song?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, another middleweight fight because there's only one thing better than heavyweights, and it's middleweights.
Yeah, they're doing like the middleweights on Tough this season too. You're gonna get a whole another.
At least most of those dudes will actually be welterweights, so some of them have a chance to be good. Yeah,
we'll not though.
I was very. Did you watch the first episode of Tough?
Yeah.
I was very confused when they were like Aaron Phillips. I was like, isn't Aaron Phillips that little like Bieber cut bantamweight kid that was in the UFC years ago?
It seemed like a few of the names sounded familiar, but they weren't any of the fighters that you know what I'm saying. Like it seemed like I'd heard of those guys before, but
I do remember Josh Reddinghouse because he got beat up by Marlon Moraes in WSOF way back when.
There were still a couple, like even like you said, the Aaron Phillips guy. It's like different fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what to make of this fight, man. This one's probably gonna be a pass for me right now. I might look at it a little bit more later on, but this is just one I got no clue right now. I'll let you kind of see what you got. I have no idea right now in this fight.
I'm not much better in this one.
I don't know.
You didn't even give me enough time to pour my beer. By the way, Steve, I know how you like the fruity beers. So first off, we started with the mango milkshake IPA. That one looked like a glass of freshly squeezed mango juice. And then we switched over just now to the juicy peach IPA. So we're keeping it real fruity for you. As far as this fight,
I don't know, bro.
I know everybody wants to like all these Georgians and act like they're the greatest thing that's ever happened to MMA since Russians came and ruined MMA. But this dude kind of sucks. He did nothing for most of the first round and got a knockout against one of the worst fighters that's been in the UFC in recent memory. And then he's put on extremely underwhelming performances in his next two fights where he got away with one win and the other one he lost a decision to Trevin Giles just by doing stupid shit. So can't trust him. But I think he probably wins here. Even if he thinks about getting a takedown in this fight, he'll probably end up on top. But even then, he might be stupid and go for a leg lock and give up top position, or talk to his coach in his corner and be like, "Hey, coach, you want me to submit this guy?" And then not be able to submit him because he's a stupid fucking Georgian. We know people from Georgia are stupid. The state, not the country. But yeah, this is a bad fight, and there's no reason that it should be this high up on the card. Maybe the Georgian dude does something wild and gets a cool finish, but he definitely seems like the type of guy you could fade against anyone who's going to go out there and be able to stuff a takedown and throw consistent offense. I think that Starboy can throw consistent offense. I'm just not sure that moving up a weight class to fight a pretty big dude that he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns, assuming that Dolidze goes for them. And now we have reached the penultimate fight on this card. It's all heavyweights from here on out, baby. We've got Walt Harris taking on Marcin Tybura. I don't think this fight would go 5 rounds, but I would rather see this fight as the main event than the one that we've got.
Yeah, it's gonna probably be way more exciting, and I don't think it would need the 5. I'm probably gonna take Walt Harris here, man. I've been burned by fucking Tybura so many fucking times over the past couple years, man. But I don't know. I just still don't think much of him, man. And yeah, I know Walt's gonna probably have to get this done fairly quickly, or he's probably lose a decision or get finished later in the fight. I think he can, man. I think this is a little step down in competition for him. He's fought some really tough dudes a couple times out. I think he's got the power to get Tybura out of here. I'm probably just going to take a small shot on him by TKO. I think he can catch Tybura and get him out of there. Like I said, if not, probably going to get laid on, lose a decision, or get finished in the second or third round. So, yeah, Walt Harris, KO.
There you go, from the mouth of the Kentucky Wesleyan himself. This one's tough. These last two heavyweight fights sort of follow the same pattern. There's one guy that is going to have more volume, has better all-around skills, and will probably win the fight if it goes to decision. And there's the other guy who is giant and black and can probably knock him out with one punch. It has nothing to do with the race. It's just, I figured that I would point that out because it's true. Yeah, and in this case, I see what Wes is saying with Harris coming out, and he usually does come out hot and immediately put sort of, I don't want to say a pace on guys because he can't sustain it, but he definitely puts pressure on guys early. And we've seen it in most of his fights where generally he's able to hurt his opponent early or land things early, and it's a matter of if they can withstand it or not. It's hard to trust Tybura because I think a few years ago we kind of thought his chin was already on the way out, and then he's been able to sort of bounce back and change his game up a little bit. He's become, in addition to his grappling, which has always been very good by heavyweight standards, he's added much more of a volume striking game. So I think he can win this fight either by surviving that early Harris flurry and outpointing him for the next 2 rounds, or by surviving the early Harris flurry and then getting a takedown, in which case I'm not even sure that Harris is going to make it to the final bell. I think that the best play in this one, although Wes has got a good angle with the Harris TKO. We talked opening the show where that font TKO versus moneyline price didn't really make sense for the risk that you were taking. In this case, the Harris money line is plus 155. The Harris TKO line is plus 270. So that one definitely makes sense because I don't see Walt Harris winning 2 rounds in this fight. If he wins this fight, it's because he's able to put Tybura out. But I think the thing that I really like is the under 2.5 is minus 125. And I think it's either Harris very early or Tybura shortly thereafter that wins this fight. So I think I'm probably going to end up playing the under here, which is a little bit of a rare occurrence for me when it comes to heavyweight fights, because who wants to cheer for fat guys to not show their fattiness all over the cage for as long as possible? But might have to do that because we've got a few instances of fat dudes here. Moving on to, and my official pick, I suppose, if you care about such things, would be Tybura. I think he's going to find a way to survive and get that finish round 2, round 3. Moving up, main event, because Jairzinho Rozenstruik main events always deliver. He's in another one. And this time, man, I hope this one goes 25 minutes because 25 minutes of Augusto Sakai's sad belly just flopping around, making faces at me while I'm drunk on a Saturday night. That's just a dream come true right there. What do you got on this one?
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit. That this one's almost kind of the same way. I don't think necessarily that Rozenstruik couldn't win a decision here. Like he could be
I don't think he can win a decision. I think he can win by knockout at any point in the fight, unlike Walt Harris.
I don't know. I'm not sure that he couldn't win some rounds here and get some kind of stupid decision. I could see it. It's not probable. I think he's going to catch Sakai somewhere over 25 minutes. Personally, kind of feel the same way about this fight that I did last one. But you're absolutely right. He's got a lot more time to do it than Walt Harris does. I just think he's the harder puncher, probably the better fighter. He's boring. He just sometimes just won't throw for large stretches of the fight, but I think he's going to catch him here, and I like Rozenstruik by TKO as well.
Yeah. I think that Sakai is going to win rounds in this fight, and it's tough for me to bet him, even though we're getting the plus number here. It went even for a while. Now you can get plus money again. It's tough for me to bet him because his opponents always land on him. He does not have good defense, and it's just a matter of, does he survive when Rozenstruik eventually lands on him, or does he get put out? And I think at some point he's probably going to get put out in this fight. I don't really think that like cardio is going to be a factor either way. We saw Sakai gas in his fight against Overeem, but that's because he was getting the shit grappled out of him in the last couple of rounds of that fight. I don't think that Sakai is going to push any sort of pace that's going to gas him out in any way here. I don't think Rozenstruik's going to push any sort of pace that's going to gas Sakai out in this one. I don't really think that Sakai is going to be able to consistently get takedowns. So it's going to be a lot of standing around and Sakai throwing out jabs and leg kicks and shit like that. And all it takes is for Rozenstruik to pull the trigger on one of those, and he can get the knockout in this one. So it feels like I should side with him. But as I said, I want to see Sakai's fat, weird belly flopping around for 25 minutes. So I'm probably going to play, like, you can't really call it a fatties because it's extended another 5 minutes. But the over 2.5 here is minus 105. And I think I'm going to play that because I think Sakai is going to be pretty cautious about the power early on, and just try and feel his way in and see what he's able to get away with. And then eventually, if Rozenstruik does land something, I think it's going to be in the later rounds. I don't think it's going to be right in the start of the fight. I think he's going to have to wait for Sakai to sort of slow down a little bit, even though Rozenstruik's already a faster fighter. He's dumb and doesn't throw things, even though if he just came out and like blitzed most dudes in the heavyweight division, he'd probably be a top 5 heavyweight instead of a top 10 heavyweight. But I don't know. They keep putting him in these spots, and so far we got that Overeem KO right at the end of that fight, which wasn't a great fight, and we got a terrible fight out of him and Gone. So I'm not expecting this one to be fireworks. So I'm going to look at that over and consider it a fatties to cap off the night. That is going to do it for... Actually, that's not going to do it. We got the biggest fight ever coming up, Wes. Floyd Mayweather.
We do have that this weekend.
Logan Paul. Is that this weekend?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
There you go. You put it, if it's a big fight, folks, you put it on Sunday, like the Super Bowl.
Hey,
And
that's the angle. That's what they say.
And then all of the teenage girls are going to tune in to watch some weird looking guy get knocked out. I still don't know what the Paul brothers do, but I'm very happy that they give underpaid fighters like Floyd Mayweather a chance to finally get their payday. You know,
hey, Tyron Woodley is gonna get the biggest payday of his entire life at the end of his career.
How, I don't know what goes on inside of Tyron Woodley's head, because he's like, oh man, this guy's such a fraud. I hate him so much. I'm going to get him out of the combat sports business. And also, I'm getting the biggest payday of my life for the easiest fight I've had in like a decade. Like, dude, what's not adding up here? This guy that you're fighting is so much better for the fighters than anybody else it's in wild. Promotion. Like,
and I mean, the one Woodley's fighting literally got one of the upper echelon Showtime boxing deals. You know what I'm saying? He's literally got a like 6-fight deal with Showtime. Like, he's making millions of dollars. This shit. Shut the fuck up, Woodley. Like, fight him as many times as you can. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully you can knock him out. And he's like, I want a rematch. You know what I'm saying? And run it back.
I was scrolling through the old Twitter machine, and I saw that there's a rematch clause in one of their contracts. I'm not sure if it's like, if Jake Paul loses, he gets a rematch. I would imagine that's probably what it is, because obviously Jake Paul is the A side in this whole thing. But like, MMA people seem like MMA media, who they seem to want to shit on the Paul brothers. And honestly, I don't care about them as people. I don't care like what they did before. They seem like scumbags, but we're talking about fights here. Like, everybody's a scumbag. So if it's a scumbag that can get fighters paid, that's better than a scumbag that's going to steal money from fighters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't mind freak shows and shit like that. Like, I never have. I mean, we're old school, like, Japanese MMA fans. Like, we're never gonna hate like a freak show fight. You know, yeah. I don't care who it is. This shit's like, everybody's on like some high horse and shit. Can we just like go back? Like, this is like street fighting, dude. These are two dudes like hitting each other in the head. Like, yeah. I don't care how you want to dress it up and shit. Like, I don't care who it is. I'm gonna watch two dudes fight. If two dudes start fighting on the corner, I'm gonna probably pull over and watch that shit. You know, like, and you're right. Like, these dudes are getting these guys like. They rant on and on in the media, like, even about fighters getting paid and getting their fair share. These dudes are literally getting them their highest paydays ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's maybe a couple MMA fighters that make the kind of money that Tyron Woodley's about to make.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To fight one of these guys, it might beat him. You know, he legitimately might beat him. He's gonna make a few $1 million doing that shit.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to make like at least $3 million doing this, and that's assuming
they do numbers.
That's assuming he hasn't negotiated any like pay-per-view points or anything like that.
I mean, Floyd knows. Floyd fucking knows. Yeah. Like Floyd is the greatest businessman that's as a fighter. That's maybe De La Hoya, but Floyd's right fucking there, man. That guy knows a good business move when he sees it. He's gonna make a ton of money. However you think about those guys, like that Triller shit night, that shit sells pay-per-views. There's kids out there that want to see these dudes fucking whatever they're doing. It's new age shit, man. I don't know what these kids are. They watch YouTube like we fucking watch cable. You know what I'm saying? It's wild.
Yeah, it was weird to watch like the narrative around that last Triller card. Because that thing sold like 1.3 million pay-per-views or something, they said, at $50 a pop. And the whole time, everybody on the card was like, oh, how are they making money? They've got all these celebrities. Like, dude, they just made $50 or like 1.3 million times. I think they can afford a couple celebrities to come and show up at their card. Like, I don't think they're hurting for money on this whole deal. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't understand the business of combat sports, because really in the MMA sphere, there hasn't been a lot of actual business. There's been the UFC and then a bunch of promotions that pop up and don't know how to spend money or manage money or create an audience that disappear because they don't know how to do any of those things. So people haven't really seen like savvy business when it comes to MMA ever. So now that they're seeing it in a boxing realm and it's starting to draw these MMA fighters over, I think there's this like weird pushback. Like you said, from all the people that are saying fighters need to get paid more. And now they're going somewhere else to an unconventional stream to get paid. But people don't like it because now they're actually getting paid. I don't get it.
Yep, and it's some of those same people they're so weird that like the UFC and Dana White apologists that are on the internet are just they're just astounding to me. Like, it's like those dudes, like, Dana's not gonna fuck you, bro. Like the UFC is not paying your bills. Like, what do you? They'll defend it to the end though, man. I don't know. There's some weird dudes out there. Some really weird dudes.
A lot of very weird dudes out there. And we appreciate you listening to these two weird dudes in here for the last hour and a half talking about some bullshit and a pretty bad card. But next week we have like an actual MMA card. It's like a real card with real fights. UFC 263. We got Izzy and Vittori. We got Figgy Moreno rematch. We got the Bear Jew taking on Jinder Mahal.
That's a good card. Yeah, we got the old Nate Diaz no wonder Sean's like, I gotta move, bro, so I can't even come on and talk about Sean
already said he's not gonna be here next week because he knows what's coming. He's probably not going to be there the week after either. That 263 card, the prelims, aside from Dober and Riddell, look like absolute dog shit. But the main card, that's fun. That's a lot of fun stuff. So we'll be back to talk about that one. Honestly, I could do with more breaks in the MMA UFC schedule. Didn't miss it. Coming back to a card like this week's card made me miss it even less. Because the thing is, we used to go from exciting card, 3-week break, exciting card, 2-week break, TV card. But it was like cool because it was a TV card and you hadn't seen much MMA lately, and then you had another 2 weeks and another great card. And now we get like shit card, 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 shit card. Oh, good card.
Damn, this was good. Yeah.
And it's like a shock to the system when there's actual good MMA on. But we have some of that to talk about next week. So I hope you guys join us. Appreciate you joining us this week and enjoy the fights.